All right. Patriots fans, welcome back to another episode. This is week 3 of Average Boston Sports. I'm Brian. We got Anthony here. And, did anything happen yesterday?
I missed the game.
Yeah? I don't even know the score.
Yeah, I think it got postponed.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
we won't talk about that then. We'll just go right into the breaking news of Jrue Holiday becoming a Boston Celtic. And honestly...
Can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
You called it. You called the exact trade.
I called it. You got to go on our TikTok. Follow us, Average Boston, on TikTok. I posted this trade days before it happened. You called me the new Woj.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God, everyone's on my line. Everyone's been blowing me up. Like, dude, like, how do you know everything? How do you get all this information? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I told my boy Rob. Me and Rob are close like that. And I told my boy Rob, dude, you're going to Portland. You're going to Portland, buddy. Unfortunately, you're not gonna be able to play with Dame Lillard, but you'll be able to play with Scoot Henderson, DeAndre Ayton.
Anthony Simon.
But this is the base of the trade. We got Brogdon, Rob Will, Golden State Warriors 2024 first, and a Boston 2029 first going to Portland in exchange for Jrue Holiday. Initial reaction right off the bat. How are you feeling, Anthony?
I think first off, I think this is a move that in the past Danny Ainge would not have made.
Not at all.
Not at all.
He does not have the cojones to make that.
He does not. And sometimes you see it throughout the league for teams that win a championship. To win a championship, you need to make that one trade where you're going to have to give up something. You're not going to be able to fleece in every deal.
Yeah.
And I think that Jrue Holiday is the missing piece to the puzzle of what the Celtics team has been looking for.
And you're a historic, don't put too much eggs in one basket. Don't be like, oh my God, because when we're in the group chat talking about a trade, like whether it's us getting Kemba after Kyrie leaving, or if it's us last year getting Malcolm Brogdon, you're always the guy to say, hold on a second, guys. Like, look at the league, look at what we're going through right now. But you're very confident in the Celtics team after this trade.
I am, and I think that people were throwing around the idea of Brogdon was definitely going to be in the trade.
Oh, yeah.
We knew that. And then it was kind of up to, is it going to be Al Horford? Is it going to be Robert Williams? Is it going to be a third team involved and they're going to be throwing salaries every which way? But I think it makes the most sense that they gave up Rob instead of Al. Because, Al is that calming presence in the locker room. He's been the veteran for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for their whole career pretty much, and he also provides far better offense in Joe Mazzulla's system than Robert Williams does.
Mazzulla
ball. Robert Williams, if you learned how to shoot threes, you may have stuck around.
Maybe.
But I think what Jrue Holiday is going to bring is, I love Marcus Smart to death. And he has been an amazing Celtic.
Yeah.
But I think Jrue Holiday is a better version of Marcus Smart.
I totally agree with that 100%. I mean, Jrue is coming off an all-star season just last year. And I know that the Bucks were the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. I know that they fell apart against Miami. So did we. We lost to Miami as well.
They're a tough team in the playoffs.
They're a very tough team in the playoffs, and obviously they lost a couple key pieces, and didn't get anybody else in return. Oh my God! Just wait for emo Jimmy Butler to come out and drop 80 on us to send them to the fucking NBA championship.
As he flips his hair.
No, dude, I can't I can't see a way that Jimmy Butler makes this team competitive in the playoffs this year against the Bucks or Celtics or even the Sixers, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
He'll average 65.
Yeah. So back to the trade, my biggest takeaway from, going on the internet and seeing what Boston fans have to say about it, you guys are overvaluing Robert Williams, I think. So Robert Williams had his best season of his entire career when we made that championship push in 2022. Rob Williams made second team all defense. He was definitely the anchor of that defense. Anytime, teams were getting, good interior offense going, he seemed to be out there and be such a factor on defense to the point where teams were staying away from the paint because they had no answer for Rob Williams. Mm-hmm. I think with Joe Mazzulla coming in as coach last year, obviously the whole Ime Udoka situation was crazy, but Rob Williams just did not fit this system as well as he did in Ime Udoka's system. And so what are you giving up here? You're giving up a guy that you could barely play in the playoffs, a guy that plays around 40 to 50 games a year if you're lucky. And yeah, he has a lot of upside, and I wish him nothing but the best in Portland. I think he's going to have a great tenure in Portland. I think Portland, you guys are going to love him over there.
I cannot wait to see the Scoot Henderson lobs to Robert Williams.
Oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's going to be great to
watch.
Yeah,
no, they're going to be an exciting team. I'm rooting for Ayton. I'm rooting for Anthony Simons. I'm rooting for Rob Will. There's a lot of likable pieces on that squad. But you guys need to realize Jrue Holiday is, like, although that offense still is, it's not there like it used to be back in the championship run for the Bucks. He's not going to give you 20 points a night. What he's going to do is he's going to be the brains of our entire defense, the way that Marcus Smart was. He's going to be able to direct traffic very well. He's going to provide constant pressure on guards like James Harden, guards like obviously Damian Lillard. People you're going to have to play in the playoffs, and you have a guy now that you can send out there and say, go get us a stop. Mm-hmm. We finally have that now. He's not asked to be the second option for scoring. He's asked to be the fourth option, even behind Kristaps Porzingis. So I think this trade is perfect. I feel like he fits our culture perfectly. He's just a guy who wants to play basketball, win games, and not be too much drama. Mm-hmm. And I think that's everybody on our entire team. If you look at it, like Derek White, humble guy. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, both very humble. Al Horford. I don't know too much about Kristaps Porzingis, but all these guys just seem like they want to win basketball games, and that's why I'm very excited for this team this season.
I agree, and one thing I want to bring up is, I think it's very important for the Celtics locker room this year that they now have a guy that has won a championship.
Oh my God.
They have that guy that has the experience of going all the way to the NBA Finals and coming out on top.
Felger and Maz don't have anything to say about this trade just because they've been begging for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Celtics, please bring in somebody who's actually done something, who's actually won a championship. They finally did it. I don't know how long it took them to get a very important centerpiece of your team who has worked out in a championship team prior. Mm-hmm. And it seems like we're always taking flyers on the guys who need to win a championship.
Blake Griffin.
Yeah, Blake Griffin. Kemba Walker. Kyrie Irving, who he won a championship with LeBron, but, his whole thing was, I want to do it on my own. I want to be Kobe Bryant. I want that Kobe Bryant career arc, and obviously that
could not.
that did not happen. No. So yeah, post-trade outlook here. One key thing I want to point out here: Celtics prevent Philly and Miami from getting Jrue Holiday. I believe that if we weren't to get Jrue Holiday and one of those teams was to not give up a major piece on their team and still obtain Jrue Holiday just based off of picks or pick swaps or whatever, I think that could have been detrimental to the Celtics' playoff push this year. I feel like if you see a team second round like Miami who has Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Jrue Holiday, that's a really tough squad and you don't even know if you're going to get to Milwaukee at that point. The Celtics are clearly pushing for a championship. They have a clear direction, and I'm super excited about this trade.
And let me just say one more thing. I think that for the people that are upset about giving up Robert Williams, I'm not going to compare it to this extent, but go back to the season going into 2008, right? When they bring in Ray Allen and KG. It's like they were moving some pieces that the fans thought were franchise pieces, right? Like Al Jefferson, Wally Zerbiak. But at the time, like those guys were thought of as being part of the young core of the Celtics. And then they're shipped out, and look what happens. Like you can compare the Celtics in that time moving on from Antoine Walker to the Celtics moving on from Marcus Smart. Like two guys that the fans loved, was a huge part of what they did. And like those 2006, 2007 teams, like, all right, yeah, you got it to the conference finals, you got to the semis, like, but you need to get over that hump, and to get over that hump, you have to give up pieces.
I 100% agree. And it seems like towards the end of Ainge's tenure, it was a lot of him wanting to hold on to the pieces that he was trying to develop. And yes, it worked out with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I am so happy that all of those trade rumors for Anthony Davis, for Jimmy Butler, you name it, I am glad that we stuck with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Those are clear centerpiece guys that have the ability to be a top 20 player on a championship team. But you guys are starting to value guys like Robert Williams, Grant Williams, just like these bench pieces who do very well in certain moments in the playoffs that they catch your heart, and you really want to root for them, and like it's really hard to give away those fan favorite kind of guys, but we're in the business of winning championships. We're not in the business of making fans happy. We're not in the business of keeping the players happy. The most important thing about this team is winning a championship. We got a guy, Brad Stevens, who knows what he needs to do and what team he needs to create for Joe Mazzulla to be best suited to win a championship. Last year, we didn't get that chance. He was preparing for Ime Udoka to coach this team. And we went in, and there was ups and downs, and we looked very good at some points and very bad at others. And Joe Mazzulla now had the opportunity a whole offseason to go to Brad Stevens, say, hey, I want this, this, and this. This is what we need, and here are my opinions on what we should do. And Brad Stevens took that knowledge, all the film from last year, and created what, in my opinion, the best Celtics roster since the Big Three was constructed. And so I'm super excited. It just gives us the chance to define ourselves in a certain way. I believe that our perimeter defense is the best in the NBA when you got guys like Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown when he's engaged, Jason Tatum most times.
I mean, today I was watching the Celtics media day, and both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum said that they're shooting for all defensive team.
Okay.
So that's obviously a priority this season.
And I don't think that we've seen maturity from them like this in their entire career. It seems like they're finally starting to embrace. I think the Jaylen Brown contract extension really kind of took that backpack off of him. It seemed like for the past few years he was like, am I getting traded? Do they really want me here? I have to score as much as I can to try and get the most money I can. Yes, exactly. I gotta score as much as I can so that I'll be noticed for the All NBA team so that I can get a Supermax extension. All of that's behind. He has his $300 million all wrapped up. Jaylen Brown could go out there and average 20 points a game for this season. He could average 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, improve that playmaking, and we have the chance of winning a championship. It doesn't take Tatum and Brown scoring 30 points a game for us to win a championship. It's when we have a clear number 1 in Tatum, a clear number 2 in Brown, and then guys around them to help them, become better basketball players. Now we have some of the best floor spacing in the game with Al Horford, with Kristaps Porzingis, and I expect to see jumps both in playmaking for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, along with the defensive output that I believe their want to win is going to increase.
Yeah, and going off of that heightened sense of maturity from both Brown and Tatum, I think, trading Smart almost took the crutch away from Jaylen and Jason.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes they relied too much on Smart to be the leader that they could just take a step back. And just because Smart was such an alpha in the room and he was so vocal,
he was the heart and soul of the team.
He was the longest tenured player, so it's hard to overstep that. But now that he's gone, I think that you can totally see that it is Tatum and Brown's team, both talent-wise, because they are the best 2 players on the team, but also in terms of the locker room and maturity, and they are taking the reins as it's their team.
No, I 100% agree. And I think that, like you said, you took the crutch away. It was also like ripping a Band-Aid off in a way where, like, it seemed like this team needed a core mix-up for the past 2 or 3 seasons, and the fan in me did not want to see Marcus Smart go. But as soon as I saw that trade finally finalize, and finally just coming to terms with the fact that Marcus Smart wouldn't be back with the Celtics for the first time in his career, that really, it seems like it shined a new light on this team. It gave them new opportunities, and for everything Marcus Smart did for this entire organization, he was nothing but positives, and nothing but positives to this organization.
I mean, he brought them out of the basement. When he came here, it was post KG and post Paul Pierce.
I started watching basketball when Marcus Smart got
his first year. He was drafted.
Yeah,
that was the first year I got into it too.
Yeah, because I was obviously on and off watching basketball. I loved watching the Big Three during the playoffs, but I wasn't like a regular season watching kind of guy. And what honestly, what made me interested in watching Marcus Smart so bad was the fact there was like a moment at Oklahoma State where he like went into the stands and
Yes.
like punched his stepfather or something.
I don't
like
think
that.
no. I think it was a random. Fan.
Oh, it was a random fan.
Yeah.
I thought it was I saw something that it was like his stepfather or something.
I think it was this guy was talking about Smart's mother.
Oh,
and
okay.
then he took offense to that.
Yeah,
obviously.
and so I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see him succeed. And like, the first 2 years, people are like, oh, he's a bust, not worth this number 6 overall pick. That is a defensive player of the year and anchor on a championship contending team for the past 5-6 seasons. Nothing but thank yous to Marcus Smart. But again, I think that we needed to make that trade to finally, get some culture change in the locker room. And now we got a bunch of winners.
Mm-hmm.
We got guys who want to win. And it's just refreshing.
That was everything. Every guy that got up to the podium today to talk at the Celtics media day, everyone was just talking about how much they want to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I especially love what Porzingis had to say. And he was saying that he's been around to a couple NBA teams and he's had the numbers. He's had, the great rookie season that he did in New York with the great numbers. But he's like, now that I'm here in Boston, I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if I score 12 points a game. Like, I will do whatever it takes for us to win. And I think getting that kind of buy-in is what they're going to need.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be sacrifice from everyone on the court. Because there's only one ball. And like we kind of saw a couple years ago with Kyrie and Hayward, that was an issue when there was just one ball.
Yeah.
But it seems like, based on what these guys are saying, they really mean that they want to win and they know that they're going to have to sacrifice, and I think they will.
And so that leads me to my first question for you.
Okay.
And so obviously this trade, we both agree, needed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but we take a loss in the front court with Rob Will leaving, and we don't have that security blanket in case, Kristaps Porzingis or Al Horford, obviously, with his age.
And Al Horford does not play the second night of a back-to-back.
No.
So
And he should continue to not do
I
that,
agree.
I believe.
I agree.
And I'd save him for the playoffs. But I want to ask you, Brad Stevens earlier today at Media Day said that he's looking for a high motor front court man, veteran to come in and provide backup minutes for Porzingis and Horford. Who's a guy, in your opinion, free agent, or maybe part of another team that we could do a small deal for, nothing crazy? Who's a guy that you think has a high motor that could fit well with this Celtics team?
So let me just start off by saying, they have Luke Cornett,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just signed
Green Cornet.
Green
I
Cornet.
love Cornet, dude.
He is a great. If you listen to interviews of him,
Yeah.
he is such a good guy.
No,
he
and
is awesome to listen
I think
to.
he only has one podcast episode. He has like a podcast. He has one episode, and it's actually really fucking good.
The
Like,
one with the interview Brad Stevens.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
He was like a guest host.
yeah, he's
Yes.
like really funny.
He is.
But anyways, you're saying
So we have the Green Cornet, and then they just signed Wenyen Gabriel to a training camp deal.
I like that.
Played last season with the Lakers. Don't know if he's really the answer, if he can get substantial minutes. Two guys that I would be looking at. One, Montrezl Harrell. I know he's currently on the Sixers,
Mm-hmm.
but Sixers this year went out and got Mo Bamba, and they re-signed Paul Reed.
Mhm.
So maybe he's expendable. Like, he might not. I'm not sure if he has a fully guaranteed contract, if he even makes it out of camp. If he was someone to be released, I think he's great. He has a very high motor.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Montrez take up some of the 5 role here.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daniel Tice.
I
don't think you can ever go wrong with bringing back Daniel Tice.
You cannot go wrong. He is such a good locker room guy.
Tatum loves him.
Is he currently a free agent, or is he with the Pacers?
He's still with the Pacers,
Okay.
but I can't imagine that the Pacers are too keen on holding on to him.
And Brad seems to have a good relationship with the Pacers GM. I remember like a few trades the past few seasons with Indiana.
Brogdon.
And with Brogdon. And I believe there was we traded, was Tice part of the Brogdon deal?
He was.
He was? All right. But, I would be excited for either of those guys. Montrezl Harrell was my favorite college player when he was at Louisville.
Yeah.
He was dominant there. That's a fun guy. But what I'm looking for the Celtics, not the Patriots. I'm not looking for anything from the Patriots, actually. You guys should just disappear. What I'm looking for from the Celtics, a guy that I think needs to step up for this team to succeed, is Peyton Pritchard. So, Peyton Pritchard 2 years ago had a lot of consideration for being the new sixth man before we signed Brogdon, or before we traded for Brogdon. And I had high hopes for Pritchard. I was, he has a high motor on defense. He's a small guy, but he can get up into offensive players and, kind of make some stuff happen on the defensive end, bearing his poor size. Mm-hmm. But I think that entire last season of him not getting any minutes, him being frustrated with his role on the team, I'm very curious to see if he's going to step up for us this year because, one, just like Al Horford's sitting out on back-to-backs, I believe Jrue Holiday is probably going to be doing the same thing. Drew's getting up there in age. We're probably going to sign him to an extension. We want him for the next couple of years, and we don't want to burn him out all in one season. So Peyton Pritchard's going to get quality minutes on this team, I believe.
Yep.
And I want to see him step up. I want him to step up defensively, keep making that push to be a reliable defender. Nothing crazy. I don't need him to be out there clamping like Kawhi. I just need him to be a pest and be at the right space at the right time. That's all you need to do as a point guard.
Yep.
And I'm really excited to see him have a bounce back year. And I think that, because if White or Jrue Holiday gets hurt, we got to put Peyton Pritchard into that starting lineup as a championship caliber team. Peyton Pritchard, barring one injury, could end up as the starting point guard of this team.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
I listened to all 4 hours of Celtics Media Day today, so I got a lot of what these guys are saying.
Uh-huh.
And Pritchard was talking about how last year it was a struggle for him mentally.
Definitely.
Being on the bench, having his role almost diminished entirely. And he said that he grew up last year, and he has a greater sense of maturity now, and he's ready to do what it takes. If it means being on the bench in some games, he's willing to take it. If it means stepping into a larger role, he's also willing to, jump into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's a great sign because at one point Pritchard was kind of asking for his way out of town.
Yeah.
But to see that he's bought back in and he's ready to go this season, I think that's a good thing for the Celtics.
Definitely. And I just think if the Celtics really, want to succeed this year, there can't be any locker room distractions. There can't be any guys begging for more points, begging for more minutes. It needs to be all in one. Everyone is together. We have one common goal. And even a guy like Pritchard complaining about minutes or complaining about offensive touches could be detrimental to this team's whole entire aura and energy going into each game. So I think it's going to be huge for the team to unite and stand as one. And I believe if I look at this roster, the only way I could see someone, complaining about a role would be Peyton Pritchard because of last year. But for all, he should have been complaining. He played really well for us during that championship
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He gave us good minutes.
He gave us good minutes, and to see his entire role just diminish the next year probably killed him. And he could definitely go to a team like Charlotte last year when they didn't have LaMelo, Detroit, and just put up crazy numbers, probably 20 points a game. But he's here, and he's committed to win. I'm excited.
Especially now moving Brogdon out opens that role.
Exactly.
For him in the backcourt.
Yeah, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
So I want to segue right into a couple of early Celtics predictions from me. I have a couple that are interesting. I think you'll like this first one that I got for you.
Okay.
I expect Jordan Walsh, now with this new trade, I know that we didn't trade any wings over, but we traded 2 for 1. 2 players, we got 1 back. So there's going to be a spot open. I think Pritchard's going to take 1, and I believe that Jordan Walsh is going to step up as the backup forward piece behind Tatum and Brown. I like Brissett, but I really like Walsh. In those games in the summer league, he looked electric. And I believe that he's going to sign a fully guaranteed contract before the end of the season. I feel he's going to be an important piece on this playoff run.
Okay.
As a guy, I think he's 6'8", listed at 6'8". He looks like 6'10", honestly.
Yeah.
And that large wingspan, athletic.
It's like 1.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
And the only knock on him as a 3-and-D guy is the 3 aspect. And he looked like he could knock it down in the summer league. And if he shoots over 35% on 3-point field goals this year, I fully expect Jordan Walsh to have an important role on this team, a team trying to win a championship. And I'm super excited to see his progression over this past couple months since the summer league.
Yeah, and I think when that pick happened, I don't think that people were all too familiar with who Jordan Walsh was.
Yeah.
I wasn't really. I
only knew him because of
his alopecia.
Yeah, alopecia.
Yeah.
And I used to see highlights all over my Instagram feed in high school about this guy is bald and will dunk on you and everything. And and I've known of him, and I know that he was a highly touted prospect coming out of high school. And, kind of fell down the draft boards as the year went on because of his inconsistent shooting.
Yeah.
And so, he's definitely got all the tools to be a very good player in this league, but he just needs to be more efficient.
I think for this team this year, too, he could kind of be that spark plug that, hits the floor on a loose ball, just as a pest on defense, kind of absorbs a little bit of that Marcus Smart role.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Because Jrue's a good defender, but
He
Jrue
is.
isn't the type of guy, I think...
There's not many built like Marcus Smart that are just going to throw themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, put your body on the line every single day. LeBron James
I don't want Jrue to be throwing himself on the ground.
No, especially on the regular season.
Yeah, don't do
you
that.
stay on your 2 legs, buddy.
Yeah.
Because we know that catastrophic Celtics injury is coming very shortly.
Don't even say it.
Jason Tatum.
No, don't even say it.
No, I'm not even going to do it because it's going to just clip it right
Yeah.
from this podcast.
I know.
But
I think Jordan Walsh and Lamar Stevens both have a good chance at having some meaningful minutes this year. Lamar Stevens, coming from Cleveland, had a good season last year with some spot starts.
Okay.
So, and he's also another wing defender. But I think both of those guys...
I didn't know there was a guy named Lamar Stevens on the team, not going to lie.
he just signed. He just signed
all right.
a couple days ago. But he, I think we have much better wing depth this year than last year between Walsh, Stevens, and Hauser. We know what Hauser brought last year.
Yeah.
I think improved shooting, he'll get minutes again this year if he can shoot the ball like he did last year.
So I think, I agree 100% with what you said. It's kind of scary when you say things like, oh, guys like Lamar Stevens and O'Shea Brissett are going to be relied on heavily. Either, at least one of the 3, Walsh, Brissett, and Stevens. One of them is going to be relied on heavily to provide at least 15 to 20 minutes a game in relief for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And so that's a little scary to hear, putting your trust in a guy that's really unknown. But I think as the season progresses, Brad Stevens is going to have the flexibility to go out there and make another trade if we need that extra forward depth. I like the idea of going in with some unknowns and giving them a shot and saying, hey, earn your spot here, play like a junkyard dog, give it your all, and if you show any sign, it's not like you're going out there getting asked to score 20 points a game on a shitty franchise that's just tanking for the next big prospect.
Give us 8 minutes.
Give us 8 minutes. Play as hard as you can. Grab a couple rebounds. Make a couple nice passes. No turnovers. And you have a spot on a team and make $5-10 million a year doing it.
And remember, go back to just last year with Denver and their rookie. What's his name?
Christian Braun.
Christian Braun. He was an unknown going into last season, and then ends up playing a big piece in Denver winning the championship.
Yeah, who knows if they win the championship without him.
So then, could you see Jordan Walsh kind of being like this year's Christian Braun and playing a big role in a playoff game?
That's my hope.
Yeah.
That's my hope 100%. I just like every physical tool that you want in a forward. It seems like Walsh has it. It seems like he has good playmaking instincts as well. And it's not like we're going to be asking him to make any plays for us on a championship caliber team, but he seems like the type of player to, be able to give, good quality high motor minutes. But also, if he was on a team like Portland, like Detroit, tanking, I believe he would be able to showcase more playmaking abilities, more scoring abilities, and this could be a piece that a lot of people are saying in the future, like, oh, we should, trade Walsh for this next perennial all-star that's asking out. It could be one of those guys that you just don't know too much about because he hasn't had the opportunity, but like in flashes of minutes, he's shown a lot of like potential. And so, yeah, I'm high on Walsh. My second Celtics prediction, I am predicting 2022-2023 Warriors of their record of 1,363 three-pointers made in a season will be broken by the Boston Celtics this year. If you look at our starting five, or at least our closing five, you never know what Jrue's role is going to be, if he's going to come off the bench or if it's going to be White. We don't know what the lineup's going to be night to night, but our closing lineup should be Jrue Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis. All of those guys are very good three-point shooters.
Good luck, NBA defenses.
Good luck, NBA defenses. And, Holiday had a down year shooting the three last year, but he was asked to be the number 2 option on this team that Chris Middleton missed about 50 games last year, and he was asked to be the second option. He played well, but we're not asking him to be the second option. We're asking him to be the 4th option. I think those shooting numbers will go up, and I am super excited to see Hauser this year. I'm super excited for Peyton Pritchard again, obviously, and I don't think there's anything stopping the Celtics from breaking this record, especially with the fact that Mazzulla Ball, he goes out there on those interviews and says the most important stat in basketball is 3-point attempt rate, and he wants to make sure that we're shooting as many threes as possible. And there's gonna be a lot of ugly games this year. I'm telling you, they're one out of every 10, we're gonna miss 33s in a game and lose to Detroit by 20, and it's gonna be what are we doing? Why are we shooting so many threes? But 9 out of the 10 times, I believe that this team is going to be shooting the lights out of the gym and shooting the competition out of any chance.
I mean, go back to just last year. Remember the start of last season? They were shooting at a historic pace.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise, and they were blowing teams out of the water.
Yeah, and that's kind of slowed down as the season went on, and I don't know, I don't know what happened at the core of that to influence that to happen, but any way we can stop that from happening.
But I think an additional piece of that is this year they have a guy like Porzingis who, let's say the threes aren't working that night, you can play Porzingis in the post. You can work it down to him and then spread it out that way. It's just different ways to get open threes that you couldn't do last year. You're not going to throw the ball down to Robert Williams in the post and he's no threat down there really.
No, yeah, and for Rob Williams is a great lob threat, and I think he led the league in field goal percentage one year, but he doesn't have the post game at all that Kristaps Porzingis brings.
No.
You can't throw the ball down to Rob and watch him go to work, which I was very confused by being a Celtics fan and being this guy's so good at making layups and dunks. Why not just give him the ball down low?
Yeah.
He can't do it. He can't I'm taking Stephen A. Smith's words, but he can't put a post move back to...
We talking about Kwame?
Yeah, he's definitely not at Kwame's level, but I'm saying... I think a lot of offensive possessions, especially in the Miami series, where Rob was just kind of clogging everything. It didn't seem like when you bring him outside and he sets a screen and he stays out on the 3-point line. That's no threat. Now you got a guy, Kristaps Porzingis, who
can't leave him.
People
open.
People were designating him as the number 1 option in Washington, and he still put up 24 points a game and efficient 3-point shooting numbers. And so adding that piece to a team that did not have that at all. And let me remind you, in games that Al Horford's 3-point was on, no one was beating us. No. And Al Horford hit a cold streak in the playoffs towards the end, and that really killed us. But now that we have multiple guys who can, in the front court, that can consistently knock down 3-point shots, I don't see how this team doesn't break the record this year.
That's a valid prediction. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah. You got any Celtics predictions? Any hot takes coming in?
Let's see. I don't even want to go into I don't even care what the numbers are at the end of the season. I just want this to be the year because they've been knocking on the door for how many years now, and one thing that Jrue Holiday also brings, I think, is the ability to play better in late game situations because he is a true point guard. And, Marcus Smart, he was a great passer. I don't think he was a great overall point guard.
Okay.
I don't think he was great at organizing at times, especially late in game. I don't think he was able to get Tatum and Brown the ball in positions where they were able to go to work.
He's more looking for the assist. Like
Yes.
he's driving and reacting,
Yes.
not like anticipating where the ball should be and the best case scenario for the offense.
And I think Jrue Holiday is going to alleviate some of those problems late game, which have really been a big problem with the Celtics, especially last year. They just couldn't execute late in game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I want to see. You know what? I'll give you a prediction. I think that they will be one of the better performing teams in clutch time this season, because last year they were not. I think this year they are going to be towards the top 5 in the league in clutch time baskets. That's my prediction.
Hot take coming in. I can feel it. I can feel
It's
it from
getting
right
hot
here.
down here.
I can smell it.
All right. Unfortunately, all this fun I've had talking about the Celtics, we have to segue into.
Can we pause it for 1 second?
Yeah. So unfortunately, Celtics fans, Boston sports fans, Patriots fans, we have to talk about Week 4, 38-3. Just a quick initial, like, what the fuck is going on from you? Like, can we hear anything positive? Anything?
I mean, I never thought I would see the day that a Bill Belichick coach team would be outcoached by a Mike McCarthy team. And
That is a great way to summarize the fucking fuckery that happened yesterday.
I mean, that is, we were talking about, like, most embarrassing losses.
Yeah.
Like, that is probably one of the most embarrassing losses. We scored 3 points.
I'm pretty sure it was the largest halftime deficit in Bill Belichick coach team history.
It was the largest loss in Belichick.
Wow. So
Coach team
it was
history
the double
overall.
whammy right there.
Yeah. And, to score 3 points in the whole game, and the 3 points coming on their first drive in the first quarter, and then not even getting close to scoring the rest of the game, I'm really not sure if you can take away a positive from yesterday.
And I do have a couple positives on in my sheets right here. I mean, like, so many more. There's so many more negatives, but I mean, Kyle Duggar, 15 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Seemed like he was seeing the field pretty well. And Jelani Tavai, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup, 1 sack. Those 2 guys on the defensive side really stood out to me. Hunter Henry was my 3rd star of the game. Just a good security blanket for Mac has always been. Good catch after contact. But other than that, every single other Patriot, it seemed like, had their worst performance of the season, of their career. Just an all-around shit show from the Patriots. And it seemed, it's the team goes as Mac goes, I believe. If Mac's having a good game, the energy on the defensive side is legit. It seems like the defense plays off of the offense. The defense played well yesterday. That first drive stops them to a field goal. We have that Pop Douglas major play, and then he never sees the ball again for the
that makes sense.
It's so annoying. Like, he makes the greatest play out of from a wide receiver that this team has had in like a decade.
Yeah.
And he goes, I think I'm gonna stop giving him the ball. We don't want that. We don't want chunk plays. We want to make sure we're grinding the clock and run it.
I mean, he could fumble, so you don't want to put him out there.
You're right, dude.
Yeah. That would just be a massive mistake.
Yeah, because if we have 0 turnovers in a game, that definitely means we're gonna win. Like, it's all about the turnovers for Bill Belichick. He doesn't care if we have. No. So, watching that game, I didn't get through the 4th quarter. So, if there's something from the 4th quarter you guys want to talk about it amongst yourselves, because I really don't care about it. My biggest 3 takeaways, I'm going to make it quick for you. 1, Mac Jones, we've said this multiple times, cannot make bad decisions due to his lacking physical traits. 12 for 21, 150 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, a horrible fumble. And yeah, you make 2 big-time mistakes like that pick 6 and that fumble. Never expect to win a game with Mac Jones as your quarterback. He's not giving you anything else other than making smart decisions, putting the ball where it needs to be, quick, 3-step drop and just get the ball out. Did not see any of that from him yesterday. Horrible performance.
I mean, that interception that he threw when he was on the right side of the field and throws left.
And it's because the first time it worked out. That first throw to Kendrick Bourne, where Kendrick Bourne makes an amazing shoelace catch. It saves the drive, 3rd and 16. They keep moving the sticks. And Mac Jones in his head goes, Bill, I remember when Bill was telling me I can't throw across my body across the field. He's so dumb. He doesn't know anything. And then does it again. It's like Dallas was like, you know what? Let him get one. Let him get one so he starts fucking slinging it everywhere, and then we can start picking him off like crazy.
And he should have been intercepted 3 times. He threw one.
Oh, yeah. No, right at Curse's chest.
It was like literally right here, and he just drops it.
But, yeah, Mac Jones, horrible. Again, not a franchise quarterback. After seeing last week, I was hoping that he would, shut me up this week. Mm-hmm. So I'm still waiting for you to shut me up. It's been 4 years, and you still suck. So please shut me up. I would love for you to be good. Second takeaway, Jrue is the worst free agent signing by the New England Patriots this entire decade, the past decade, since 2013. I went back and looked, and there's guys like Jrue Smith and Nelson Aguilar that stand out that got, similar money to him.
Before you continue?
Yep.
What if I told you that Jrue Smith has more receiving yards than any Patriots wide receiver this season?
No way. That's an amazing stat. That crushed my soul.
It hurts so
yeah,
badly.
That just crushed my whole entire Patriots fandom right on camera. But I love that stat. That's a really good one. And he's looked pretty good for Atlanta.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple games. He looks like where was that? What? Why do people get better when they leave us? And so, yeah, I still have him as my worst free agent signing of the decade. At least Aguilar and Jrue showed flashes at some point. You were like, oh, maybe if we got them the ball a little more this week, maybe if we included them more in the game plan. No, do not include Juju in the game plan more.
Another drop that goes right through his hands.
And another short of the sticks third down play where Jacoby Myers would have been right over that line, know exactly where he needs to be, and Juju just has no awareness on this field. He's just trying to catch the ball, get down so he doesn't get hurt, and he's playing like a guy with a knee injury right now. And it's not helping our team. I don't care what we paid him. Get his ass on the bench. Get Pop Douglas in at 100% snap share rate. I need 100%, or in the 80s at least for Pop Douglas. And so I'm just so pissed off about that Juju signing. And so that segues into my third take. This is kind of, a side plot, but teams are going to take advantage of us now that we've shown that motion field goal block play. As you could see, they get a 2-point conversion.
Embarrassed.
Yeah, embarrassed. And it's just that killed the entire, Mac Jones goes out there, lets up a touchdown, and we're down 16-3. It's okay, 17-3. We go down. We get a field goal on the board before half, and then we start with the ball second half. When it's 17-6, we got a chance at winning this game. Then they go out and do that fake play, and they get a nice little 2-point conversion. It's 18-3, and our entire energy on the sideline. If you panned a camera across the sideline, not one person was talking, not one person had a smile. It was just dead. And so that was detrimental to the entire outlook of the game. I think that's when it got away from us, and these little mistakes, these penalties. Michael Wenu, 3 penalties that kill us. One that negates a 12-yard rush.
He's supposed to be one of the best offensive linemen on the team.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be one of the best offensive linemen in the league. He was rated his rookie season as a top 10 guard in the league, and he showed a lot of signs of being a guy that we can count on for 5+ years in the future. It seems like he's gotten 10 times worse since he's gotten that hype, and it's
I feel like everyone on the offense is regressing.
Yeah, at the worst time to do so.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the season. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, the Patriots played this Cowboys team 2 years ago,
took them to overtime.
They took it overtime.
Yeah.
With a lot of the same guys.
Yeah, and it's clearly not Patricia anymore.
We can't be blaming him anymore.
No, it's Bill O'Brien is a credible offensive mind within the NFL, within the NCAA. He was the offensive coordinator for Alabama, who's always top 10 every single year. I know he has a great offensive mind. It's just, what do we have to work with here?
The players stink.
We stop blaming these other outside factors that are happening. It's literally just the product on the field fucking sucks, and the players on our team fucking suck. So it's there's no going around it. There's not any coaching in the world that's gonna tell a dumb it's I'm out there and I'm fucking running a 5-yard slant for that. I might as well, better than fucking Juju Smith-Schuster out there doing it. And so I'm glad that that's all we have to talk about Week 4.
Can I just say one other thing?
Yeah.
Though?
No.
No. All right. See you later, guys. That is now 3 years since Brady has left. All 3 years, Patriots have started the season 1-3, and
The exact record of 1-3.
they've started 1-3 every single season since Brady has left. And I think it's growing, and we're starting to realize it's Belichick. He doesn't have them prepared. They were not prepared to play yesterday, and they haven't. They're treating September like it's Brady's year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, we'll win the games. Maybe we'll be 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll be 3-1. And then we'll roll and we'll play better in October and we'll play our best football in November like they always did. But this team can't do that.
No.
They're not good enough. They don't have a quarterback that can elevate the talent.
Mm-mm.
They don't have a team that has buy-in to what the coach is telling them to do. So and then you get yourself in this hole of 1-3, and let's be honest, their season's over.
Wow. You're killing it right now.
Their season's over. I mean, Matthew Judon's probably out for
1
the
and
year.
3. 1 and 3. You want to call the season over right now?
Next week
No,
next week they have the Saints, right?
Okay.
Next week they have the Saints.
Yep.
The next week they have the Raiders,
Mhm.
and then it's Bills Dolphins. So you need to if you want any chance of your season surviving to week 8, you need to win the next 2 games. Because if you win
100%.
if you win one of those and you go 1-3 in the next stretch, and you're sitting at 2-6 at week 8,
Then
that's
it's Caleb
over.
Williams time.
Then it's Caleb Williams time. But and I'm frustrated with Belichick because he's now costed Matthew Judon the season because there was no reason to leave him in that game.
No, not at all.
After he had pulled Mac Jones and says in the press conference, there was no point in leaving him out there. But there was a point in leaving your probably best player on the roster.
The best player on the roster by far, the only one that was in the top 100 this year. Oh my. Oh. The storage thing didn't happen, guys. It was good. But what were you saying?
I mean, there's no reason to leave him out there.
Mm-hmm.
And now in a meaningless game that they were going to lose, Bill knew they were going to lose. Now you've cost your best player the rest of his season.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Gonzalez, he has a torn labrum. He'll be out for multiple weeks. So now you're running Sean Wade and Miles Bryant as your 2 top corners.
And you saw Miles Bryant try to guard CeeDee Lamb. We had a chance in those first 3 games because Christian Gonzalez was taking the best wide receivers in the league, like all of them, not arguable top 20 guys, and was looking very good against CeeDee Lamb when the game started. And immediately he comes out of the game, and it's a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. And it's very nice to see how important he is to our team, but obviously with this injury happening, Anthony just alerted me before the podcast started that he's going to miss an extended amount of time with the torn labrum and dislocated shoulder. And yeah, it's killer to this entire team. Miles Bryant can't guard CeeDee Lamb.
No, and
he can't guard
And
him.
I feel bad for him because he's not brought in here to do that.
Like, Diggs is going to go off against us. Hill's going to go off. Waddle's going to... It's not even going to be...
Waddle's going to be guarded by Sean Wade.
Oh, my God. What was Sean Wade? Is he an undrafted free agent
He's been
signing?
like a work in progress for 4 years.
He's been in our system for like 4 years and hasn't found any like quality snaps for a reason. And now we're relying on him to guard the best wide receivers in the league. So that'll be fun to watch.
I'm just so disgusted because, and I know that on my original record prediction, I had them sitting at 1-3, but the way that they've gone to 1-3, it's just
that's so true.
It's just like they're averaging 13 points a game. The only team that's worse than them somehow is Cincinnati at 12.
Yeah,
but we know they're going to figure it out.
Yeah,
so at some point we will fall to the worst scoring offense in the league.
They got fucking plastic wrap out there guarding Joe Burrow's
calf.
I
know. But we know they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or they at least have more talent than the Patriots.
No, I'd much rather have Cincinnati's roster than our roster right now.
And I think, did you watch the Sunday Night Football game last night?
Couldn't do it. Could
No?
not do it. My girlfriend was with me, and when I turned off the game in the fourth quarter, she goes, "So that means we don't have to watch Sunday Night Football?" And I was like, "You know what? We don't have to watch Sunday Night Football. Turn on Sex in the City, because I do not want to fucking watch another minute of football after that." So,
Well, breaking news: Zach Wilson played well.
I know, and looked a lot better than Mac Jones has looked in any game this year.
If Zach Wilson plays like that at the end of the season, that's a loss for the Patriots.
Yeah, another one.
So
we don't have we don't have two easy wins anymore. The Jets were guaranteed wins for the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Bill Belichick ever loses to the Jets, but you got Zach Wilson out there with some confidence, looking out there slinging that shit. Yeah, that looks.
and I know that people like. If there's the older generation that's gonna watch this, that would be cool.
Yeah,
but
that would be cool.
but
You guys
they're-
know what the YouTube is.
but they're gonna say like we sound like spoiled Patriots fans.
Yeah.
But it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's not even.
We shouldn't have to settle because we've won so much in the past. People are like, "Oh, don't dwell on the past, don't dwell on the past." But as soon as a accredited team who's won in the past starts losing, and everyone's like, "Oh, you guys are spoiled brats for you just appreciate like
What you had.
appreciate what you had." All right, why is this like a double-edged sword here?
Yeah.
Like,
Can't we just have good football?
No,
Like,
no, you can't. You
I
have
just
to be
want to
on.
be entertained, and this is the most boring product of football. It's worse than last year. So far this season, I think it's worse.
I agree. It's
We
horrible.
can't run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson looks like a shell of himself because the offensive line can't move anybody.
No, we can't.
So-
It's not like we can't even like stay in front of people. We can't move them. We can't expect to move people if we can't stay in front of them in the first place. And so a lot of this power run game that we've seen success with in the past few years, it's just not there anymore. And so that segues week 5. Obviously, it's a must win. You got to beat Jameis Winston and the Saints. They came in.
Is Jameis Winston for sure starting?
Yes, yeah. They. I don't know
Because
if
Derek
it's for
Carr
sure.
played this past week.
Did he play this
He
week?
did play.
I was listening to the Sports Hub, and they were talking about that.
Yeah, because it's Felger. I was listening to that too, and I was like, these
You're
guys
right.
really don't know what they're talking
I did see
about.
Derek Carr playing
Yeah.
this week. So, all right, scratch that. You got Derek Carr coming in on a Saints team that is, far better than the Raiders were last year. I think Derek Carr is a fine quarterback, better than Mac Jones, and we got him coming in next week. What do you think that the Patriots need to do defensively to have a chance at this game now that you're telling me Derek Carr is playing in this game?
It's tough again. There's no Joe Judge made those sweatshirts like there's no one coming to help us.
Yeah.
There's no one coming to help.
No.
So Sean Wade, Miles Bryant, go out there and guard Chris Olave and Michael Thomas, and someone pick up Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. Like, good luck.
I will say this: if the Patriots finish with a top 10 defense with the roster they have right now, there's not a lot of blame you could put on either Brian or Bill Belichick here. Like a top 10 defense when your starting corners right now are Miles Bryant.
No, I don't
and
blame
Sean
Belichick
Wade.
for this,
No.
but it's just unfortunate, and I'm frustrated, and I shouldn't be feeling like the season's over on October 2nd.
So you're rooting for a loss because that means if they lose and we come in next Monday, we get to talk about Caleb Williams in a New England jersey.
I'm going towards I want the Patriots to lose because something needs to change, and I think Belichick needs to be fired. I'm going to come out right now and I'm going to say I think this
right,
needs
Maz.
to be the last season, not tomorrow. At the end of the season, Belichick needs to move on. And the only way that happens, if the Patriots have 8 wins, I don't think Kraft's pulling the plug on Belichick. But if you have 4 wins,
There's a little bit more of an
I
incentive.
think that you're going to have to strongly consider it. And especially if you have 4 wins, you're moving on from Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm. And if Bill wants to still coach competitive football, there's a chance that we just make a deal with him to be like, hey, we'll trade you to, let's say, like a middling team that doesn't have a great coach, but they seem like they're just one piece away. Like if Denver, put so much into Sean Payton and clearly that's not working out very well. They got the win this week, but down big early. It doesn't seem like they're playing well for Sean Payton. If you trade Belichick, let's say you trade Belichick to Denver, and he gets to like his last couple of years have a competitive roster, good quarterback set in place. I still think Russell Wilson's a great quarterback, but that's definitely an option that I could see happening because not even Bill Belichick wants to deal with this middling roster anymore, and it's.
But I mean, you say that. Is Belichick an appealing head coach candidate at the moment?
I think so.
You do?
I think he still gets a lot of buzz if we let him go, and Belichick is still passionate about coaching, still wants to coach. There's going to be a lot of teams begging for him to come in because he can come in not offensively. If you have a great offensive coordinator and scheme in place, and then you bring in Belichick, just say, hey, like, you're the head coach, but we just want you strictly coaching the defense, and he doesn't have that GM role that he had in New England. He comes in and makes an amazing impact on a lot of teams, I believe.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I think his ego has just absolutely, it's unhinged.
I think that resignation, or like whatever they want to call it at the end of the year, if it were to happen, would kind of shut down that ego a little bit. Like, hey, I just failed. Like, I never thought I'd be fired from New England ever, and it just happened. So it's time to like rethink. Let's get passionate about football again. Let's like do extra work, and I could definitely see that happening. Mm-hmm. To end this podcast, I just want to say one thing. I need Will Grier active this week.
I agree. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I need Will Grier active, and I want him pushing Mac Jones a little, because Bailey Zappi, let's kill that. Let's kill that. He's not a good quarterback.
No.
He's too small. Again, doesn't have the physical traits like Mac
Jones.
Jones.
He throws a better ball than Mac.
He throws a better ball.
He has more pace on
more catchable ball for the receivers than Mac Jones does. But Will Grier has those physical tools, and it's always been with him that he can't read the defense very well. And I think that you come out here and you lose, or you're losing big time to New Orleans. Like, if you go into the first quarter and we have another major deficit again, I think it's time to give Will Grier a shot over Bailey Zappi, over Mac Jones, and let's just see what happens. If he sucks, then he takes us to a top pick in the draft, and we can hopefully bring in a guy that can change the course of the franchise. But if it works the other way and he looks like he did in the preseason, we got a shot with a guy who has some physical tools, and let's just see if Belichick and Bill O'Brien can get the best out of him.
Turn over every rock you can. See what you have.
Yeah.
It's just and I don't want to blame it on Mac. I know we've talked about it. I don't want to blame it on Mac, but there's so much not to like. Like, he's such an unlikable person.
The nut grabbing and the dirty plays.
The way that he comes off the field and is in the press conference and he's like, just a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, we'll bury it and get better.
That's a perfect impression. That sounded exactly
really?
like him.
Really?
Yeah. What? Do I got Mac Jones right here in front of me? No wonder why you've sucked this year.
I know, right? I might as well be out there.
It's looking like one of Anthony's Madden franchise teams out here.
I mean, it's just the way it's just so insincere. Every week getting up there like, well, we got to be better. Like, you're not going to be better.
No.
Stop saying you're going to be better.
Clearly you're not.
Yeah.
Clearly whatever
you're putting out there, that's the best you can do.
And so, yeah, ugly, horrible. See how the mood of this podcast completely flipped from Celtics talk to Patriots? At least we're we got something to root for. At least we're not one of those, areas where, you have one good team, and if they do bad, then the others, it's not even worth.
Let's talk about the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah,
today.
No. The Detroit Tigers. No. At least we got the Celtics. The Red Sox ownership seems to be shifting around. There's some light at the end of the tunnel there. And, the Bruins are going to be the Bruins. Obviously, they lost a couple pieces, but they're going to be competitive. Yeah, and so, I don't know. But thank you guys for listening this week. It's been another great hour that we've had with you, and we're looking forward to the Celtics season. And let's see what the Patriots can do. 2-3 maybe on Monday, and we're having a little bit more positive discussion. Or 1-4, and we're talking about Caleb Williams.
For Caleb.
Another Average Boston Sports podcast. Thanks for listening, guys.
Peace.